So navigating the Georgia Department of Education platform. When you first get on the platform, there's a few little clicks and tricks that can make it a little simpler that I'm going to show you. But I think the main idea when navigating the platform is to really think of it almost like a social media stream, and it'll make it a little easier to navigate. So I thought a great place to start this year would just to be a quick overview and navigational video of the communities to help you know where to click to find things and to make it a little easier to learn to work the communities and some of the features. So to get started, I would go ahead and bookmark this login.community.gadoe.org so it's easy to find when you need it. I already have my credentials typed in there. Once you have your credentials, then you can log in. So you're going to click the login button. Sorry, it's going to take a second here. And when you log in, it's going to land you on your member page or your profile page. I think of this sort of like my profile page on a social media app. You can edit your photo. You can change your banner. You can edit your profile here. So you can put where you work, your email address, all of that information that you want visible. And so you can kind of get your profile page set up. Once you have your profile page like you like it, then you can click the welcome. This is a nice little blurb from Richard Woods, just welcoming you to those communities. But most of the time, you're going to want to go straight into the news feed. So the news feed is just like a social media news feed. It's going to show you the latest and greatest things that have been posted in the communities, what's going on. Like I can see my friend Andy today, he posted a new webinar in music technology about rhythms to non-musicians. So you can look there. There's all kinds of information about what's been going on in the communities. You can see who's joining things, etc. Next up, over here in the top right are your notifications. So this is going to notify you, this little bell guy, that's your notifications. It's going to tell you, hey, your membership got accepted to this group you applied for. And you can view your notifications. Once you've seen them, you can click mark all as read and it'll clear your notifications. This is your message button. It works a lot like an email button would. So if you want to view your inbox, you can just click view inbox. This is a way you can send messages to other people within the community if you want to send a one-on-one message. We also will send messages when we send new webinars out. So for example, Andy, he sent his new webinar today out. He posted his new discussion post, and he also sent an email to his group members saying, hey, I've posted this new discussion. So we're going to look at what's going on, etc. And then for his second discussion, he has some information about rhythm. So Andy's got his posted here, but he'll tell you here, he says to post his responses in the discussion post, and we'll talk about that later. But this is a great way for us just to communicate with everyone in our groups. If I want to, let's say I see an idea that someone posted and I want to ask them for more information, but I want to do it in a one-on-one way. So let's say Amy Clement posted a great idea. Amy Clement, awesome orchestra teacher. I type her name, Amy Clement. I click it, it finds her. I type my message to Amy, I click send. Easy peasy. So it's just like a mail app that you can send messages in. Okay, so I'm going to go back into my news feed. Okay. Now, over here under your, or by your name is the little downward caret. This is also a place you can adjust your profile. You can adjust your login preferences, etc. To me, this isn't a really important thing to do, is to go to email preferences. Oftentimes, you're not going to go and log into the communities like you do Facebook every day or your Twitter or social media apps. And so for me, this is a way that I know I'm going to get notified as things come out because it's going to send a push notification to my email. So I went in here and I set my email preferences to anytime I'm mentioned in an activity feed or I'm up a reply to a comment I've posted, anytime I get a message, anytime I get invited to join a group, etc. The one that's really important is this forum one. This is the one that I would make sure that you have yes and yes checked to. And that way you're sure to get all the latest webinars and you'll get a push notification to your email address that you have on file. Okay, So I click Save Changes if I've made any changes. But that's how you edit your email preferences. I do think that's a pretty important step because otherwise you're going to have to remember to come out here and log in anytime you want to look for something. Whereas anytime something's posted, and there's usually once or twice a month a post, then you'll get notification, hey, there's something new out there. Come check it out. And you see your notifications, messages, etc. also down in here. And then this is also where you log out of the community. So when you're done for the day and you want to log out of your community page, you click log out. So I'm going to log back in. It's going to take me right back into that. Okay, so next important button is my groups button. So using groups is what you're going to mostly do. So I'm in my groups. You can also see all groups. You'll notice in the GaDOE communities, if you click all groups, there's all different types of groups, computer science, algebra, things that I know nothing about. And you can decide which groups you want to join. So I'm a member of all these groups. Some groups will say, when you look at all groups, join group. If it says that, it means you do not need permission to join that group. It'll just let you join. So I'm going to join STEM. So I'm going to click it and now I'm a member. If it says request access, you'll click that button and it'll send a request that you can join that group. Okay. Once you get added to that group, you'll get a little notification and then it'll also appear in your My Groups. Now, let's say I've decided I've changed my mind. I do not want to be a member of STEM. They send too many emails or whatever. So I click this, you're a member, and it brings up this leave group. And then I click it again, leave group. And now I'm no longer a member of STEM. So you can add and take away groups. Now, anytime you want to join one of the music groups, they're all set to where you have to request access. So what you'll have to do is click the request access. It'll send a notification to one of our awesome Department of Education music staff, and they will approve the request, and then you'll be in the group. So I think it automatically populates you into fine arts and music, and then you have to join the subgroups you want to be a part of. I like being in all the music subgroups because it's great to see what's going on. Sometimes there's some great intonation things in band, or there's a great exercise in chorus, or general music has a creative activity. So it's good to be able to look around, but you can join whichever groups you like. I'm going to take you over to the orchestra page since that's the page that I moderate. And so you just click on the thingy, you can click on the icon or the word. And you'll see that's why, see how it has, this is only visible to members of the group. That's why you have to request access. You will have all of these buttons except these last two. These are for the moderator, but the rest of this will look the same. So it'll open for member. It'll open and you'll see all the members of the group. You can follow people, or you can unfollow people, just like on social media. Now, where you're going to spend most of your time is in discussions. We're going to do a whole separate video on discussions. Feed is just going to be like the news feed, but just for this group. So it's not going to show you anything but the orchestra feed. Photos is if we post maybe event photos, or we post some sort of pictures or some sort of item that goes there. Documents, we have the GSE in there, as well as some instructional resources that Casey's put in there. Let's say we want to share a fingering chart. We can upload that into documents, or there's some sort of rubric that we want to share. We can put it there as well. We already talked about members. So discussions we're going to go into more detail about in a few moments, but you can see all the discussions from last year are still available. If you click on those discussions, it'll just have a little blurb about what it's about, and then there's a YouTube link, and you can either click that or it should populate right below for you to watch the little video that goes with it. And then you can reply, etc. So we're going to go into more detail in a separate little video about discussion posts, how to follow them, how to reply, all that good stuff. But I just wanted to give you that overview of the communities and how to navigate. So when you're done, if you want to go back to your news feed, and then you can just log out. Or you can close the window, that works too. So please let me know if you have any questions navigating the communities. I don't always know the answer, but I'll be glad to put you in touch with someone who does, hopefully. And hopefully this will be a very useful platform for you to use as the year goes on. Next, I'm going to show you how to post and reply to discussions. The discussions that we have each month will kind of be kicked off around a set of videos that I'll post. So I'll post on different topics each month. Like obviously this month I'm posting about just how to get around in the community, but then we'll kick off with some information. Maybe one month it'll be about differentiation or tips and tricks for posture and position. We'll have different topics each month. And if you will, take a few minutes and click through those videos and then reply to those discussion posts, that's how we'll really utilize the community best. Your replies are really what makes the community active. Otherwise, it's just me throwing out my ideas, which aren't always that great, but your responses are what makes it great. So many of you are so creative, and I see what you're doing on social media through your program pages or just through your personal social media, and it's so inspiring. So if you will share those ideas with us around the state, just take a minute, reply to those posts and those discussions that I put up, and I think it'll really make our discussions much more deep and more meaningful. So I'll show you how to use the discussion posting tools and utilize it so that you get notifications as well. So now we're going to take a minute and look at the discussion posting tool within the community. The discussion posts are really where you'll find all the meat of the material here in the community. It's where we'll share our ideas, as well as where I'll post the monthly webinars and hopefully get the ball rolling on some great discussions this year. So I'm back in my community page here, and I want to go over and look at my discussion. So I'm going to click my group icon again on the left. I'm going to go down to my orchestra group. And I'm going to click the discussions. The very first thing I'm going to do when I first get into the discussion section is I'm going to hit subscribe. Right now mine says unsubscribe because I've already subscribed. So I'm going to click unsubscribe for a minute so you can see it. So there's subscribe. I'm going to go ahead and subscribe to this discussions. That way I'm sure to get notified. Next up, let's say I want to create a new discussion. Like I want to say, hey, does anyone have any great ideas for fingering charts? Or what is your strategy for remediating a student who was digital last year? So you would title your discussion post. This gives you like some different kinds of formatting options here. I type in what I want to say. Notify me of replies via email, you check there, and then I click post, and it'll post your discussion. So I think anyone should be able to post, I think, but then also you can reply to the existing discussions. You can see all the webinar and discussion posts from last year. So let's look at one that had some activity, this last one from May. So here's the discussion post that I posted talking about what's going on at the end of the year, and I embedded the webinar so you could watch the webinar. And let's say you were in there, and so John, he had some great ideas about some things that he's done with his students that worked really well for him, and so he shared some ideas, and then I replied, and then Laura had some ideas. So we're going back and forth and sharing some content. So let's say John talked about Book It, and let's say I had some questions about that, but maybe they were really specific to John, and I wanted to just ask him specifically. So I could click his name, and it's going to bring up his page, and I can message him directly, and it'll pop up your email tool. Okay, so that's one way you can interact with the discussion. Let me go back to my groups. Okay, let's say I am going to look at, I know Andy posted a new music tech one today. So I'm going to click discussions. And I'm going to subscribe to all the music tech discussions because I want to know what's going on this year. And this is the one he posted today. He's got it pinned to the top. And I can click and watch his video, see what's going on, and then I can hit reply and answer his discussion. Okay? So you have some options there to reply. And yes, you can create new discussions in other boards. With the discussion post also, you're going to get notifications of them via this messaging app, because as the community moderators, we not only post the discussions and webinars, but we also email through the messaging app. What's great about that is it just sends a push notification that way. What we want to make sure, though, is that when you're responding to these discussions, that you don't do it in this messaging portion. You see how Andy, he posted all this nice stuff, and then his last sentence says, please respond within each discussion post so that the quality of information is preserved for all users in the future. What that means is if you reply in this email thread, it doesn't get attached back to the original post. So then it won't show up over here. And then that information doesn't get archived with all of these posts every year in the discussion board. So you want to make sure whenever you're replying to a post that you do it in the confines of the discussion board. And that way, that information is preserved year over year so that we have that great archive. The communities, the whole goal of the communities is to bring people together across the state. I know some of us are in areas where we may be the only teacher in our district for orchestra. Some of us are in areas where we teach with another orchestra teacher in the same building. What's great is we all are coming with different experiences and different background, and so we can come together and share these ideas across the state. So the communities are really dependent upon you sharing. My role as moderator is to create the content to get the conversation started, but ideally you all are creating the content by sharing your great ideas. So our goal this year is to increase our engagement and get more people involved in the communities and sharing your awesome ideas so that hopefully we can continue to build our knowledge base from across the state. So hopefully that helps you understand a little bit better how the discussion posts work. It's not too hard once you get the hang of it, but most importantly, just feel free to chime in and reply to discussion posts. Your ideas are so valuable, and it's so helpful to hear what other people are doing across our state.